Welcome to Links and Locks Action Network's golf betting podcast presented by Bet365. I'm your host, Andy Lack, and I will be joined alongside Action Golf contributor Tony Sartori for these Best Bets episode. And just like Jason and Ben have done the last couple of years, Tony and I will play 18 holes today, giving our 18 favorite picks for this week's tour event, the Players Championship. Before we dive into this week's episode, a reminder that the Links and Locks podcast is presented by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays, and they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Louisiana, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. Okay, Tony, we are on the first tee here for our Players Championship Best Bets. Get us started.
Absolutely. I mean, I love handicapping this tournament because like the golf profile has pretty much been the same here for a decade. You just got to be in great form, playing like one of the top guys, had prior experience and is a good ball striker. That recipe has pretty much given us every winner here over the past 10, 15 years. And that's going to bring me to my first outright choice this week, which is Xander Schauffele. He's at 22-1. And this is a guy like I hate betting on him so much because it's so frustrating. So I'll bet on him to win. He'll finish top 5 and it'll look like all week, oh, he's going to pull it out. And then he just falls short. But this is a guy, he's made the weekend in 27 consecutive tournaments. Scottie Scheffler is the only golfer right now that has a longer streak of doing so than him. I mean, especially with the way Hovland and Rory have been playing recently, I think there's no doubt in my mind that Schauffele has played as the number 2 guy on tour. He just hasn't gotten a win over the past 2 seasons, and I think that's going to change soon, and it could be here. He's finished runner-up here before. I mean, 22-1 is a good price, and I mentioned earlier that he had made the weekend 27 straight times. He has 14 top 10 finishes over those 27 tournaments. He's right there every single week, and I think his game is able to be elevated against this very good, strong field, but I don't think he should be as long as 22-1, especially again with the way Hovland and Rory have been playing. I think he's the second best guy in this field. So that's my first outright choice is Xander Schauffele.
I got to say, I'm really surprised that you went there because he was my pick too. And I thought that I was probably going to take some flack for going there because of his inability to close in these bigger time events. But there just feels like there's something in the air with Xander right now. His career feels very synonymous to me with like what Rickie was doing in the 2010s, where Rickie gets the players wins and continues to tease in major championships. Like Rickie had that one year where he finished top 5 in in every single major championship. Xander's done a lot of that as well, where he's been this proverbial bridesmaid and players in major championships, but he's never able to cross the finish line in a major. But then there's something serendipitous and synonymous with like not being able to get it done in the majors, but then getting a players championship as your consolation prize. So long-winded way of saying, like, I think this is Xander's week too. He's my pick. We have a ton of ways to get different. So we'll talk about a bunch of other guys, but that was the number one play that I was going to talk about this week as well, that I went with the enhanced win 24-1. Because at this point I'm not cashing out anymore. So Bet365 is available for Xander as high as 24-1, a number. I just had to bite on it because I'm so used to seeing this guy at like 14, 16, 18-1. I don't think I've gotten the opportunity to bet Xander in the mid 20s, in the low to mid 20s in quite some time. So I'm with you. I think Xander's our guy this week.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad we're on the same page, and I'm glad you all said the 22 to 24-1 thing, because I don't think since major championship season last year he's ever been north of 20-1. I was actually very shocked to see that number this week. So, and again, I think it's because of like the betting community, people like you and me, like we're so hesitant to bet on him just because he's just not finishing. But like you said, I think it's coming. But that brings me to my second outright winner, and this guy has won recently, and this is Hideki Matsuyama, 30-1 at Bet365. Like Schauffele, he's just in tremendous form. He's reached the weekend in all 7 tournaments he has played this season, including his win at the Genesis Invitational. He's just also someone that's had a good deal of success at TPC Sawgrass. He finished 5th here last year, 8th in 2019, and 7th in 2016. Having those 3 top 10 finishes here is I think gonna be so crucial this week, because the course will play tough, and I think having that experience under his belt, like especially in such a loaded field, will definitely work to his advantage. I mean, this is a guy who, like, I feel like he's never really gotten, maybe he has, maybe he hasn't, but I feel like he's maybe not gotten the respect he deserved ever since his win at the Masters. He was just a Masters champion 3 years ago, and like you'll see tournaments where he's still like 50-1, 45-1, 55-1. A little shorter this week because of the recent form and the win at the Genesis, but I still think 30-1 is too long on a guy who has played very well here and is playing really good golf right now.
Love that. I am going to go with one more outright. This is the man that I am pairing with Xander on my betting card and hoping that he can become the 6th multiple time players championship winner in the tournament's history. I'm going to go with Justin Thomas, 20-1 enhanced on Bet365. JT has approached this 2024 season with a totally new vigor. He's had a pretty strong transformation in terms of where his game was at just a couple months ago versus how he's playing right now. He's got, I believe, 4 top 12s in 5 starts this year. He just is coming off a 12th at the API where he gained strokes in all 4 major categories. Yes, the ball striking is back, but he's also chipping and putting better this year. And now he returns to TPC Sawgrass, which is a golf course that I think just brings out the best in him. I think it's JT kind of views that golf course as his playground. You have to be creative there. If we get a bunch of wind, I think JT has a major edge. If we don't get a bunch of wind, we've seen JT being able to perform in easier than average conditions at the Players Championship as well. He's hitting his irons right now. He's playing some of the best golf we've seen him play in years. And it's put up or shut up time. Like, this is a guy that hasn't won a golf tournament in 2 years. And many others still view him as one of the best players in the world, at least one of the best players on the PGA Tour. But after a certain point, it's time to find the winner's circle. I think JT feels it. I think he knows it's time. And what better than a place where he has such good vibes, a golf course he's talked about so warmly and lovingly in the past for him to get off the schneid. So I'm going with JT, 20-1 enhanced on Bet365.
Yeah, I love that. I've been circling JT to win a tournament here for the past few weeks now. I think one is coming. He's playing so much better than that little like rut he went into last summer, but he's been playing a really good brand of golf. I'm gonna take us to the finishing positions market, and I'm gonna target Sam Burns, top 5 plus 850 at Bet365. Just another guy who's in tremendous form. And when his game is off, it's not very good. But when his game is on, he is one of the best players on tour. He's made the weekend in 11 consecutive tournaments. Over that stretch, he finished 3rd at the Phoenix Open in February. I could see a similarly strong performance this week at TPC Sawgrass. His iron game has really came together recently. He's gained true strokes on the approach in each of his past 4 tournaments. And he knows the course. Like, the reason this number is so long, like plus 8.5 or plus 850 to make it into the top 5, is because Burns has never really seen that success at the Players yet. But he's only played here, I believe, 2, maybe 3 times. He's improved as he's played here. He's made the cut in each of his past 2 appearances here. And I mean, he's got the experience under his belt. He's got the improving iron play week over week. That's 4 straight tournaments with true strokes gained on the approach. I think just at plus 850, that's such a large number on such a golfer with such a high ceiling. That's worth taking a shot at Sam Burns in the top 5 market.
Love that. I'm going to go to the top 10 market with Brian Harman at plus 450 to finish in the top 10. I love the way that he played last week at the API. He gained over 5 strokes on approach. One of the strongest indicators for success at TPC Sawgrass is just looking at the guys that are hitting their irons the best right now. Like, if you look at the leaderboard from last year, Scheffler, Hoge, Hatton, Hideki, all of those guys were in the top 10 in approach leading into their players win. The year that JT won in 2022, he gained 9.5 strokes on approach right before he won. So there's this massive correlation between guys that are hitting their irons right now and those who have been able to find success in winning the players. I love that Harman spiked with his irons last week at the API. I trust him on big stages. He's played well at this tournament in the past. He's very accurate off the tee. He's shown what he can do with his driving accuracy off the tee on a golf course like Royal Liverpool, where there's all these pot bunkers and hazards and out of bounds at every turn. So I'm going with Brian Harman plus 450 to finish top 10 this week.
I like that a lot. Yeah, especially, I mean, he's gonna have the putter, so if that approach game is on, he's gonna be flirting with the top of the leaderboard for sure. I'm also gonna target the top 10 market, and I'm gonna go after Erik van Rooyen. Top 10 is 10-1, so big number here. But this is honestly, besides Schauffele, is my favorite bet on the board this week. I mean, he's now finished inside the top 8 in 2 of his past 3 tournaments, and his irons are absolutely on fire. He's gained true strokes on the approach in each of his past 7 tournaments. He also finished top 13 or tied for 13th here in 2022. And Van Rooyen right now is playing way better at this stage than he was entering that round in 2022. So I mean, 10-1. I think that's worth a shot for him to finish at the top 10 for the 3rd time over his past 4 tournaments.
Love that one. EVR's been playing some incredible golf. I'm going to stick in the top 10 market and go with Siwoo Kim plus 450, another former Players Championship winner. Similar to Brian Harman, we got a spike approach performance from Siwoo Kim last week at the API. He hit his irons incredibly well. I think this is a perfect course fit for Siwoo. He is one of the most accurate drivers on the PGA Tour. He keeps the ball in play. He is towards the top of the field in driving accuracy every single week. And I think what sets Siwoo apart is that he's not just accurate. He doesn't just have the ability to spike with his irons. He's also got a really good short game too. And so I think he's got kind of all the tools to have a lot of success at this golf course that emphasizes accuracy off the tee, overall approach play, and short game skill for the next number of years. I think that TPC Sawgrass and Siwoo Kim is going to be a strong marriage. I just think this is an incredible golf course for him, and I think he has a leg up here every single time that he tees it up because of his highly specific skill set. So I'm going to go with Siwoo Kim top 10 plus 450.
I love it. And I'm going to go, so speaking of former winners, I'm going to go Rickie Fowler, top 20 plus 450. I'm viewing this almost as a buy low. So yes, he's won here before, but I'm using this as a buy low spot because the results have not been there recently. And the reason I really want to buy low is because he's not really scoring, but he's really not been playing that poorly. Like if you're watching him play, his whole game's kind of there. He's just not scoring. And I think now we can get kind of a bounce back week when he's returning to a place where he has the biggest win of his professional career. TPC Sawgrass is a Pete Dye design that features Bermuda grass greens, and Fowler loves playing on that setup recently. So when you look at courses that are similar to this on tour, right? There are 2 other courses on tour that are Pete Dye designs with Bermuda grass greens, and that is Harbor Town, which hosts the RBC Heritage, and Austin Country Club, which hosted the now defunct Dell Technologies Championship. Add in the players, and last year for those 3 tournaments, Fowler finished inside the top 20 in all 3 of them. So I think he's comfortable on this type of design. He's comfortable with the Bermuda grass greens. He's won here before. I think comfortability is going to be something that's going to be huge for a guy who has been making cuts but not really scoring. So if he just gets comfortable, plays his game, I think he can easily sneak into the top 20, which is plus 450 at Bet365.
I'm going to go I'm going to go top 20 as well here. And the reason that I'm not going to go a little bit more adventurous with him is only because I don't trust the short game and putting that much, but I'm going to go with Corey Connors plus 240, top 20. I just think on the driving accuracy and the overall approach play alone, Connors should find his way to at least the middle or the top of the leaderboard. He is hitting his irons better than nearly any other player in this field outside of like Scheffler and Tom Hoge right now. Like Corey Connors gained over 5 on approach at the Cognizant. He gained over 6 on approach last week at the API. And like I've talked about, like I've, waxed poetically already about on this podcast, I just think that recent approach form is such a safe bet in terms of targeting guys a little bit farther down the board. And Connors has gained over 11 strokes on approach in his last 2 starts. He's got some good history at the Players as well. He's finished 7th here in the past. He's had a lot of success on these like overseeded Bermuda greens, the same type of Bermuda overseed that you see in Phoenix, that you see at Heritage, that you see at the Valspar, all golf courses that Connors has putted well at in the past. So I'm going to go with Corey Connors top 20 plus 240.
Love it. Yeah, those irons have been absolutely dialed in. But we've already mentioned him a couple times. Speaking of dialed in irons, now I'm going to take us to the first round leader market, and I'm going to go after Tom Hoge. We've mentioned him multiple times. He's 66 to 1 to lead after the first round. This is a guy who holds the course record for lowest round at TPC Sawgrass. When last year he went 10 under 62 in the 3rd round when he was kind of chasing down Schauffele. I mean, obviously he did not get it done on Sunday, but that just proved that he can explode here in any like single round, which is why I love him to lead after the first at 66 to 1. That honestly like could be the end of my handicap right there. But we've been talking about iron play. Hoge ranks above Schauffele in strokes gained on the approach this season, which is truly like almost mind-boggling when you look at how good Scheffler's ball striking numbers have been. But that's how good Hoge's have been as well. So, and finally, the tee times are already out for Thursday. Hoagie's like the 3rd guy or in the 3rd group out there. So he's got the advantage of being in the morning wave, which almost always scores better than the afternoon wave. So at 66 to 1 and a guy who holds the course record with a 62 here, I like Hoge to lead after the first round.
I am going to stay in the first round later market, as you just mentioned, and I'm going to go with Aaron Rai, 80 to 1. First round leader. Rai is one of the most accurate drivers of the ball on the PGA Tour. TPC Sawgrass has one of the highest penalties on tour for a missed fairway. I simply trust Rai's ability to keep the ball in play off the tee better than nearly any other golfer in this field. He has a 19th place finish at TPC Sawgrass last year in his only appearance. He's playing some great golf right now. He just gained over 6 strokes on approach in Mexico. I don't know if I really trust him to put 4 rounds together, but if we're talking who has the ability at a very appetizing number to spike for 1 round based on his skill set, I would go in the direction of Aaron Rai, 80 to 1 on Bet365.
I love it. I'll stick in the first round leader market as well. And I'm going to go after Tommy Fleetwood. This number is 66 to 1 for Fleetwood to lead after the first round. I feel like I don't know if the market's just kind of forgetting how good Tommy Fleetwood is. Yes, he struggles to win, but that's why I'm going after the first round leader market for him. He tees off immediately after Hoagie's in the group right behind him, except like on the front versus the back, but whatever. He's in the morning, so that bodes well. There's also a guy that profiles well for here. He's typically demonstrated success at die design courses that feature Bermuda grass greens. He has multiple top 10 finishes here, whether it's including here, Harbor Town, or the Austin Country Club. And I mean, I think his recent inconsistencies with his irons are why we're catching 66 to 1. But when they're on, they're on. Like it's Tommy Fleetwood is, I think, well, the OWGR, it's its own question mark. But according to their rankings, which are questionable, he is 12th. Like this is still a top 25 golfer in the world for sure. And at 66 to 1, I think that's just a misprice on someone who has a high ceiling when his iron play is on.
Nice. I'm going to go with, I'm going to go back to the finishing position market. I think there's some really great odds on some top 40 plays this week. I was very surprised to catch this guy at plus money in the top 40 market based on the way he's playing, but I'm going to go with Keith Mitchell, top 40 plus 125. I just love the way that Mitchell is playing right now. He finished 9th at the Cognizant Classic. Gained a bunch off the tee, gained a bunch on approach prior to the Cognizant Classic. He spiked on approach as well at in Mexico. So one of Mitchell's biggest bugaboos over the last couple of years, one of the things that have held him back has been his approach play. And Mitchell's, I don't know what he figured out with his irons in 2024, but this is some of the best approach play that we've ever seen out of Mitchell. I trust him off the tee. He's had a lot of success on these type of overseeded greens. And he's finally kind of unlocked that approach play that I think has always been the missing piece to his game. So I just think just for a guy to finish in the top 40, I mean, there's so many outs in his game for him to find a way to finish in the top 40. Like he could spike with his driver, he could spike with his putter. Like even if the irons regress a little bit, I just think that Keith Mitchell at plus money just to finish in the top 40, that shocked me this week. So I will absolutely be there on Keith Mitchell.
My handicap for this market is almost the exact same. So I'm also on Brendon Todd top 40, which is plus 130. It's like your Mitchell play. I can't believe this is plus money. He just finished sixth at the Arnold Palmer, and yes, the field is half, but like the field is still all the top guys at the Arnold Palmer, right? So he's facing the same level of competition. Yes, there's more guys to jump to get into the top 40. He finished sixth last week. His putter was on fire. That tournament was also on Bermuda grass green. So if he's feeling well on Bermuda grass greens, I can see that putter being a huge benefit for him again this week. I mean, he's finished inside the top 40 in 8 of his past 10 tournaments. I really could not believe this was plus money for Brendon Todd, especially with how he looked last week at the Arnold Palmer. So I think at plus 130, that's just an auto play for me.
I'm going to do one more in the top 40 market, and I'm going to go with Doug Ghim, plus 162, another number that shocked me. I mean, we are talking about a guy that is playing some of the best golf on the entire PGA Tour right now. Like Doug Ghim has finished top 20 in 4 starts in a row. He's hitting his irons incredibly well. He's driving the ball really well. He's had a lot of success on Pete Dye courses. He's also finished I think 2 of his best 3 finishes on the PGA Tour have come at the Players Championship. So he played well here in the past. He's got a 6th place finish here in the past, and he's also played well at the West Coast kind of companion to the to TPC Sawgrass in PGA West, which was also designed by Pete Dye, kind of in the same vein as Sawgrass to be this West Coast version of Sawgrass. I know it plays a little bit easier, but the architecture is very similar. The agronomy is very similar. So to get Doug Ghim based on the way that he's playing right now, at plus 162 in the top 40 market, when the guy has finished top 20, 4 starts in a row, that felt a little aggressive to me. I was shocked at that number. So one of my favorite plays in the board this week, Doug Ghim, top 40 plus 162 on Bet365.
I love that. That's a great number. For my final finishing positions play, I'm going to go after Grayson Murray, top 30, which is plus 550. So a little bit of a longer shot here. But again, I just talked about the Arnold Palmer. Murray just finished 25th there. And again, I know it's a lesser field, but he's facing the top 80 guys in the world at that field, just like he is going to be this week as well. The only guy that is here this week that wasn't last week in terms of the top guys is Finau. If he can finish 25th at the Arnold Palmer, I think he can scrap together a top 30 here as well if his play remains the same. I mean, he's kind of a boomer bust, right? He could miss the cut by like 5 strokes. I won't even be shocked. But he had 2 top 10 finishes to close out last season. We've seen him win. He just won at the Sony Open. I just think that, yeah, he's not a world beater by any means, but I think he's definitely talented enough to sneak into that top 30, especially at plus 550. So I think that's worth a shot for my final play.
I'm going to finish this off here with the market. We don't talk about too much typically, but I think this is a fun way to start the tournament. I'm going to go with a round 1 3 ball, hopefully something that can cash for us on Thursday if our more adventurous first round leaders don't come through. But I'm going to go with Adam Scott plus 250. He is the long shot in that 3 ball over Patrick Cantlay and Ludwig Aubert. Adam Scott obviously has been one of the most consistent players at the Players Championship over the last 2 decades. I mean, this is a golf course where it is very hard to consistently perform here year after year because of the variance, because of the water. Adam Scott's made 17 of 20 cuts here. He's playing some good golf. I think you're getting a little bit of a better price than you would on him at this golf course because he missed the cut at the API. I am not overly concerned with that. That is a golf course where, again, there's a lot of variance. You hit 1 or 2 bad shots in the water at Bay Hill and your week is over. I think it's a great bounce back spot for Scott at a course that he's had a lot of success at in the past. I have some concerns about Cantlay's irons right now. And I don't love playing guys at the Players that have never seen the golf course before. So as much as I love Ludwig's talent, this is a very nuanced, strategic golf course. It generally takes at least once or twice to figure it out. So I'm going to go with Adam Scott plus 250 round one in that 3-ball with Cantlay and Ludwig.
Nice. I love that play.
That'll do it. That was our last one. That'll do it for our best bets episode of the Players Championship. Before we get out of here, final reminder that the Links and Locks podcast is presented by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays. And they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Louisiana, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
And a quick heads up, sports betting in North Carolina is now live. So if you're in the Tar Heels state, take advantage of the best sign-up offers across every sports book. Just follow the link in this episode description. All the North Carolina offers, all in one place. Just check out the link in this episode description.
As a reminder, our action experts Spencer Aguiar and Nick Bretwish return with host Roberto Arguello tomorrow for the Players Championship betting preview right here on the Links and Locks podcast. So for Tony Sartori, I'm your host, Andy Lack, and we will be back here next week on the Links and Locks podcast presented by Bet365.